Welcome to the Lethal Library. I'm Dani,
I'm Stephanie.
and welcome back. Glad you're tuning in again. Tonight, we're going to be talking about
Drumroll, please.
a man who, is it nature versus nurture,
Ooh.
right? How could one child from a large religious family turn out so different than everybody else? Evil, maybe, if you will. Do you think that there's a turning point in your adolescence that makes or breaks you? Or do you think possibly one choice made at 16 can ruin everything? This week, we'll be discussing Keith Eugene Wells. And can I just say, the Eugene is a super popular middle name.
It is.
Thank you.
That was Creech's middle name, wasn't it?
Yes.
Thomas Eugene Creech.
Yes.
Is this like the Anne of boys?
Is this, excuse me, what?
Like, Anne is a very popular
Oh, yes.
girl's middle name.
Possibly, yes. Or,
Lynn.
yes. Lynn.
But Lynn can also be a boy's middle name.
It can be. Very popular. So I'm going to start in 1990.
90s.
Brandy Rains and John B. Justad were found in the back room of a neighborhood bar on December 20th, 1990. The Rose Pub, located on North Orchard, is the current location of McCleary's in Boise. The victims were found by a customer. He came into the bar and there was no one around to wait on him, so he checked around the bar. Which is an eerie feeling. Have you ever walked into a place, a store?
Even a gas station where I'm like, are you guys okay? Is there a robbery in process? That's what always goes to my mind. Like, if I can see no activity and it's just dead silent, I'm like, what am I walking in on? Oof.
And I think
This is going to confirm my fear, isn't it?
No, I think somebody's probably quit.
Like someone walked off shift and said, fuck
it.
this, I'm out. Fuck you, you're cool, I'm out.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm like, someone's dead.
Someone's dead, and I'm like, they quit. Patrons say the bar was a quaint, quiet bar that only served beer.
Dang.
Brandy and John were both brutally beaten, but were still alive when they were found.
Oh, no.
That's the worst. They were transported to the hospital where they succumbed to their injuries.
That is bad. Being beaten to death. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and this like the second week, it's like, quit. Like, beating is such, shooting is bad. Beating is...
It's a little less emotional with a shooting. Knife being stabbed is more personal.
But you just have to keep going.
Bludgeon someone, that is terrifying.
Brandy only worked a few nights a week at the bar, and John was a customer. Now it says Brandy at one point was full-time there because she had lost her job as a food server, but then she got her job back. They just had downsized. It wasn't like she got fired or anything. She was laid off. And so she was working full-time. And then they're like, okay, we're ready to bring you back. And so she was doing that job. And then she's like, I like this job, so I'm going to just work a few nights a week.
Yeah, keep doing it.
Yeah. The assailant had grabbed cash from the bar and left out the back door. Police were able to track his footprints through the snow for a while, but eventually lost them. There was evidence that John had fought back. 20-year-old Brandy Rains, like I said, was only working a few days a week at the Rose Pub. She was recently engaged to be married. She and her fiance were to leave on the 21st to the Pacific Coast to meet her fiance's parents. So the day before she was supposed to leave.
Oh my gosh.
She had so much life in front of her, and she was from Emmett. So she's probably really excited to go on this trip. She'd just been engaged.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, okay, hope fam likes me, you know.
And getting packed.
John Justad, 23, was from the Boise area as well. He worked for a local beer distributor and was recently discharged from the Idaho Army National Guard. John was an avid skier at Bogus Basin and loved animals and the outdoors. Like, he was just a good dude. And you're going to hear some more stuff in here that he was just Solid guy.
I wonder if he really liked this bar, because if you're working for a beer distributor, you probably know a lot of the bars and
Right.
know which ones are your vibe.
Like what ones you want to chill out at and spend some time. In January 1991, police released a sketch of the suspect. So it took him a couple weeks after the murder, but it will take 4 months before there is an arrest. In April, the Boise Police Department arrests Keith Eugene Wells. Wells is 30 years old and married with 2 children. His current occupation is a door-to-door vacuum salesman.
Those really existed.
It had to be Kirby or Rainbow.
You know what? Kirby did change my household's lives, because those Kirby vacuums, we still have my grandma's. They don't quit. They will not quit. We got a Rainbow too, the one with the water. It was okay. It kind of seemed like a gimmick to me, and I always thought the water was gross, but
We had the Queen growing up. It was badass.
is that like...
I remember the salesperson, I think it was a relative, I'm not going to say who it was, but they were vacuuming large bolts when I was 6 years old off the carpet to show the power.
Yep, I still remember our demonstration. They said vacuum this tiny area. I think it was like 100 times with your regular vacuum. Just go back and forth 100 times. And then they brought like the Kirby out, and they're like, so there shouldn't be much, right? And there was so much, and we were sold. They got us.
Done.
They got us.
Probably $19.99 a month for like ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wells is currently also on probation for robbery.
Ooh.
Wells is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and is facing a possible death sentence. During an initial court proceeding, a confession from Wells was submitted that said Brandy and John were beaten and killed over a drug deal gone bad. Detective Smith testified Wells said he went into the Rose Pub to get about $3,000 owed to him by John and Brandy for the purchase of cocaine.
That's a lot of cocaine.
A lot. 91. And another confession from Wells, because, multiple.
We got to make it extra confusing. Okay.
Oh, maybe that wasn't a good enough story. Oh, let me tell you this story. In another confession from Wells, he included drug suppliers. Wells stated when he approached John in the bathroom looking for his money, John only had $87 on him. Very specific. Wells then took the money to his suppliers who were waiting in a car in the alley. And they said, get your ass back in there and get more money.
Okay. Which I can see. I mean, $87 out of a supposed $3,000. That's pocket change.
Wells said he went back into the bar and confronted John. While fighting with John, he saw Brandy fall and one of the drug suppliers hit John. The supplier then gave the baseball bat to him and he hit John 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
So we have 2 stories, 2 confessions,
Just to muddy the waters a little.
just to be perfectly unclear. Love it. So I'm going to fill you in about Wells' past. Well was born in Moab, Utah on May 11th, 1962. Did I say that one correctly?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. He was the 6th of 8 children.
It's a lot of kids.
He grew up on a farm in a close Mormon family. There you go. There's all your kids. Money was tight for the Wells family while he was growing up, and they moved quite a bit for jobs. Wells' mother stated she tried to get help for her son. She said they spoke with the police, their bishop, and even the stake leader. They all reassured her that he would be fine. He's just growing up.
It's just a phase.
Just a phase. The Wells family has asked themselves what went wrong. His father, Paul Wells, said as a kid, Wells wouldn't hurt a fly. If he saw something hurt, he would help. He said it just doesn't make any sense. And the Wells family gave interviews at length.
Really?
Yeah. And so that's where this is coming from. I was surprised.
That is surprising. Usually the family of the criminal keeps a pretty low profile. They might do apologies, a statement, one written statement by their lawyers or
These were interviews.
yeah.
Not only with mom and dad, but with siblings.
You don't see that very often.
So Keith's sister, Cherie Wells, said, we're a conservative family. We've been taught morals and principles. Like all of us, Keith made his own choices.
Yikes.
At 15, Wells was sent to the Youth Services Center for vandalizing a school. When he vandalized a school, when the cops showed up, he was just sitting there sipping on a beer.
Waiting for it?
Yeah. Didn't give a fuck.
I know someone who hypothetically may or may not have vandalized a school before. And I know that person didn't sit there with a beer. A beer may have been had later. But an interesting choice.
That is the total. It's like, I don't care. That's really, I
And
don't
you really
care.
don't care. Like, why do you want to get caught? That's a foreign concept to me.
Right.
Like, if you can just get away with a little mischief, why not get away with it? You want people to know. That's weird.
While at the Youth Services Center, he told counselors that he was abused by his parents. Wells now says that that is not true. But his parents were strict and they would spank him. It depends on your level of what you think abuse is. But when he was older, he said, no, they didn't abuse me.
It wasn't really abuse.
Well,
Or abuse to the terms of, I mean, we can agree or disagree on spanking anyone, but not like punching your kid in the face or starving them or making them do crazy, like strenuous tasks while starving, like we've seen in some cases. So he's like, no, it wasn't like that.
he's like, oh, as I grew up, I was getting spankings. That's not abuse. And you're fair. Some people think that is, some people don't. In his mind, spanking was not abuse.
Okay.
Wells said he started smoking pot when he was 10 or 11. How does this Mormon kid obtain pot at 10 or 11?
That's a good question because
This is my whole thought process as we go through this next little bit of timeline here.
he probably had, some kids that ran in a different circle than he normally would have.
Or
And
maybe one of his older brothers and sisters.
who knows?
He was the sixth of 8.
Almost the baby. That's crazy.
Yeah. Word. Where's a 10-year-old getting pot? Anyway.
Black Doug.
Well, if he didn't live in Idaho, I think that's a possibility. Sorry. We just know it here. When he turned 12, he decided that he was going to be a man and do what he wanted. This is just rebellion for whatever reason. And this is why the nature versus nurture, like this is just total rebellion. Wells had a drug habit by the age of 12 that was costing him $200 a month.
And back then in the 90s, when is this?
Yeah. 80s.
80s. What? Was it just marijuana?
No, it was mostly marijuana and some amphetamines. Did I say that one right?
You did. Good job, Danny.
When he was 13 or 14, he was stealing regularly to pay for his habit.
Okay, this is escalating very quickly, but you know what? I've done a lot in my childhood, so I don't know. I didn't have that expensive of a habit. Oh, that's very intense.
That's a fucking mortgage payment, I bet you.
Back then, yeah.
Yeah. I did not Google that, I'm guessing. Wells said he was involved in at least 30 thefts and assaults from 1975 to 1978.
Big numbers.
Yeah. So that's like 10 a year. Once a month, he needed to get his Money.
Yeah, he's budgeting. Gotta do my monthly robbery, my monthly assault.
He dropped out of school in the 9th grade. It was a middle school, but we've been weird here. And so middle school was actually, you were a freshman. Anyway, did you do that? Oh, no, you're much. Oh.
My sister got lucky because my sister, 9th grade, was at middle school at West. And then the year they changed it,
She sailed right into sophomore.
She was never the new kid on the block, like the newest, the youngest. So she was in 10th grade when they brought the 9th graders over.
But you just...
Yeah, we just did 7th and 8th there.
On April 1st, 1979, Wells pointed an unloaded .22 caliber gun at a clerk in a grocery store in Pocatello and took $400.
Calm down.
2 months down, boom. But he was arrested and sent to the Northern Idaho Correction Institution in Cottonwood at the age of 17. So he was 16 when he did this. Not okay. Glad there was no bullets in it. But you cannot be pulling guns and taking money. Like,
this is too much.
It's very aggressive for 16. And this poor LDS, can you imagine? They don't even know what to do.
They're like, what is this? And especially with no real issues with the other kids, they probably have no idea.
Nothing that I read. I mean, even his sister said he was making his own decisions. Okay, a little trigger warning.
Okay.
A few weeks after being there, Wells had to be put in protective custody after he was raped by 3 prison inmates.
Well, that's terrible.
It's horrible. And so that's where I was talking about in the beginning, like...
Oh, my gosh. That's not going to help anyone.
No.
That's definitely something that can exacerbate any issues, or even if you don't really have any big issues, it's going to create them. So that is really terrible.
While in prison, he also met his future wife, Cindy. She was a prison guard.
Also inappropriate. That is not as bad, but a very bad, that power imbalance relationship. Cindy, what the fuck were you thinking? A prison guard and he's 17. Do you know how old Cindy is?
I don't know the age difference. But I didn't see, okay. I don't know of any level of inappropriateness, but I know that Wells asked his family to send her a gift at Christmas while he was in prison, and that she spoke with his family. So I think that he probably was eyeing her, and this is all assumptions, that she was nice to him when he probably had not been treated very nice by a lot of people. And and the family was like, oh my God, there's somebody that
is in his corner.
Yep.
So I bet they supported it, especially after that happened. Him being there, and when you're a family with a kid in jail, you feel
literally a fucking
powerless.
Kid. Right.
This is crazy though. But
they just met. I didn't read anything about them hooking up or doing anything weird. That's how he knew her.
Okay.
In February of 1980, he was released on probation. And then here we go. Wells went back to prison in December of 1980 after he was convicted of stealing money from a relative. Who does that, by the way? Maybe I'm a sucker, but I wouldn't. It would be handled here.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know.
If you can.
Yeah.
Listen, I've seen a lot of people when I was having my crazy days that would do the most ridiculous things to their families. Families had restraining orders and had tried to prevent things other ways, and
fair.
But I would like to handle it in-house for sure.
Right. Let's take it out to the backyard.
If you have the opportunity.
In 1984, Wells reconnected with Cindy and they were married in 1986. So,
Okay, that's a little less
maybe.
creepy, plausibly.
Well, during the time that he had met her and then been, in and out, and she got married and divorced and had a child. So,
Okay.
mm, in 1987, his parole was revoked due to threatening to blow up his pregnant wife and his stepson with a stick of dynamite.
Come on. To Cindy that looked out for you
Yeah.
and your unborn baby with a stick of dynamite. Let's be for real here. What are we doing?
I wouldn't even know how to obtain a stick of dynamite.
I wouldn't know how to respond to a threat like that.
Like, I'm just gonna run.
Yeah, like I would probably laugh and then be like, "Are you serious? Should I not be laughing right now? This is not a joke." Okay?
I just picture like this, like cartoonish
Yeah.
red TNT.
Are you going to drop an anvil on me from a cliff?
You gonna push a rock, Roadrunner?
That wascally wabbit.
I do think he had violent tendencies, though.
It seems like it. I mean, he's very quick to it in his crimes. Like,
because he was also caught by a guard with his hands around Cindy's throat while she was visiting him in prison.
oh, that's not a good place to have your hands around someone. And if you're willing to do it in like a public place,
Don't give a fuck.
because usually abusers want to keep it more private because then they have more control and then everyone else thinks they're good.
Secrets.
And also you don't want to get in trouble in prison, in jail or whatever. Like
He didn't give a fuck. That's the hard thing here. Like,
doesn't care whatever the consequences.
He's drinking a beer while getting caught, vandalizing. He'll try to choke his wife out while in prison. It's some serious anger issues. But he was eventually released on parole in December of 1989. So I want you to keep that timeline in mind because Brandy and John were killed in December of 1990.
Okay. So we got 1 year countdown basically.
And his parole officer tried to help him get jobs, and he would take the job, but he would quit. So I feel like this vacuum salesperson job was like the last straw for him.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he'd worked there and then he quit.
Well, what a scary job for such a violent person.
No shit.
You invite someone in your home.
Oh, I
just
didn't
being
even
like,
think of that.
I'll think about the
Can I come and demonstrate my Kirby?
and knowing how unstable people do not deal with rejection very well. And that is a job where you have to not even give a shit about rejection. Door-to-door sales,
Brutes.
people are going to be rude to you no matter how nice you are and try to yank your chain and stuff. So that's a very dangerous job for these people letting them in their
I didn't even
homes.
think about that. Yeah. That's kind of scary.
You know, mom lets someone in, says, I'd like to look at a vacuum. And then here comes dad wanting to puff up and be fighting the salesman. Not fighting, but kind of,
We don't need this damn vacuum.
or saying you're bullshitting, or, you know, he's going to be the powerful one in the conversation. And it's a very precarious situation to be in.
I didn't even think about that.
Scary.
Back to 1991. In October, the trial begins. The star witness for the prosecution is Cindy Wells, his wife.
Okay.
She tells of how he came home in the early morning hours after the murders, cold and wet. And later in the day, she discovered bloodstains on the pants he wore that night.
That's got to be a not good feeling, especially knowing that he's been violent with you. And
there's no secret. She knows he's been in and out of jail. Like, and his violent behavior. And
she's probably hoping maybe he just got in a bar fight. Maybe it's his blood. We don't know whose blood it is. Maybe he fell somewhere. You're just trying to rationalize, I can imagine.
But she was super suspicious. So the authorities were alerted through a friend of Cindy because she had been talking to some friends.
Worried.
Yeah. And so I don't know if she couldn't bring it upon herself to actually call the cops, but the friend was like, dude, not good. I'm calling.
Well, and there's a level of fear, especially if you've been choked out by someone, of how would I even do this? And what if he found out that I told?
And
She's living with him.
threatened by dynamite.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, thank you, friend, for sounding the alarm on that one.
A pub regular, Donald Christ, found Brandy and John just after midnight. The bar had been busy that night with a pool tournament earlier in the evening, but it quieted down quickly after it was over. Fucking nailed that word. Thank you. Brandy had opted to close early that night. John, who serviced bar taps for a living, frequently acted as an early morning escort for female bartenders.
That's really sweet because as women, we know you never walk late at night, especially from bar areas, feeling 100% awesome about your surroundings.
No. So he's a nice guy. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like, he knew her, like we were talking about, like a regular, and he's like, I'm just going to hang out, help you take care of this stuff. They work trying to close early. Yeah. Donald Chris said it was too quiet when he walked into the bar, but he heard groans coming from a rear hallway and found Brandy laying on the floor.
That had to be terrible.
I can't even imagine. Donald then peered into a nearby storage room where he found John laying in a pool of blood. Not knowing if the attacker was still in the building, he fled to his car and drove to another bar around the corner and then called the authorities. Same.
You don't know if someone has a gun, what happened. Were they beating each other somehow? Is that, who's the bad guy in this situation? So I can understand you don't know this place.
And I also think the brutality of the crime, that it wasn't like somebody had broken a leg and he could help them. Like, I think he looked at these two and was like, oh shit.
It must have been very brutal.
Yeah. So he did the right thing. Jammed out.
Yeah, he didn't go home.
No.
You know what? I guess I'm not having a beer tonight.
Yeah, I guess. Well, yeah. Other testimony presented stated that Wells had taken John's wallet and about $450 from the bar. Wells testifies in his own defense.
Ooh.
On the witness stand, he said he was drinking with two other men at the bar that were the real killers. Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Of course. He can't reveal their identities for the fear that his wife and children would be targets for revenge.
You're already beating the shit out of your wife by your own self, so how worried are you? You wanted to blow up your unborn baby with the dynamite, sir. But yeah, cool story. What else?
He said he had to confess to the murders, or the mystery men would harm his family. The jury came back with a guilty verdict on both counts.
That's a shocker.
Wow.
Wow. Thanks, jury, for seeing right through that bullshit.
During the sentencing hearing in January of 1992, the defense is asking for life in prison. They said Wells has already spent most of his adult life in prison and would do well. I just feel like that's not a good defense argument.
That's like strange to me.
30 used to being locked up. He'll be fine.
If you look at his resume, the dates that he's been in prison throughout his life really stand out. He's got great experience for this role.
And he'll do well.
Hire him for life in prison. That's such a weird argument.
I thought so.
He's been there before. He's cool with it.
He'll be good.
He tried to strangle his wife while in jail. Like, what?
Just no visitation, maybe. Glass visitation.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Wells attempted suicide while waiting for his sentence. He had saved several days' worth of medication and took it all at once. We've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Wells was taken to the hospital where he was placed on a breathing machine and listed in critical condition. This was no creech, slicey, dicey.
Like a faux attempt.
Right.
This was a real attempt.
It was.
He was trying to get her dead.
When back in court for sentencing, Wells gave a tearful but brief statement to the court. He apologized for telling the police that Brandy and John were involved in drugs, but insists he did not commit the murders.
What a strange, if you're trying to do the right thing now, just do the full right thing.
Exactly.
He's trying to give them breadcrumbs. See, I'm a good guy. I'm
I'm
willing to own up for my mistakes.
I'm not trying to ruin their reputation. They were not.
That
those
was
people.
rude of me to say they owed me $3,000 in cocaine.
But and that the drug dealer were,
also doing it, or two other patrons in the bar, like just giving one little, okay, yeah, I might have lied about cocaine being involved, but it still wasn't me.
Didn't kill him. Judge Schroeder gave Wells the maximum sentence of death.
He was not playing around.
I think at this time after he was convicted, there's like 22 people on death row in Idaho.
It's getting crowded.
It's busy. They're just handing out willy-nilly.
It's not even a VIP club. They're letting everyone in.
Mm-hmm.
Idaho's just going.
In October of 1993, so of course, we have appeals. But in October of 1993, Wells asked the state and the federal courts to execute him. He is asking that they rule against him in his automatic appeal and that he wants to withdraw his post-conviction relief petition.
Wow, he's saying pull out all the stops, all the other built-in...
Done.
Because that's kind of like a built-in thing with the death penalty. You have an automatic appeal.
Right.
I said, you know what? We don't need to do any of that.
Nope. And he said, pull my post-conviction relief petition because that also is done in short order after you get the death penalty.
Which I think is a good check and balance. It's never perfect, but at least if it's that kind of case, you know that you have one that you can at least rely on.
His attorneys, John Adams and Rolf Keene, who I feel like has been the attorney for every death case that we've covered.
Well, they keep serving up these people. He's booked and busy. He's a boss babe.
Rolf Keene are trying to talk Wells out of this decision.
As they should.
That's what they do.
And document it fully.
The judge orders Wells to have a psychiatric evaluation to make sure that he is competent. Wells writes a letter to confirm his intentions. I'm going to read the letter.
Okay.
It's long. And just to emphasize, I'm going to tell you where there's exclamation points.
It's good for us to know what he was trying to emphasize here.
Yes. It states, to whomever it may concern, I, Keith Eugene Wells, do hereby declare and avow before God and a notary public for the state of Idaho that I am of sound mind. I am not under the influence of any medication that may impair my judgment, and I will submit to any psychological testing necessary to relieve any questions as to my state of mind. I would petition all involved to carry out my sentence of death as soon as possible, ! And to cease all proceeding of appeal in a case on my behalf, case number 18041. It is not my intention to cause any more pain or grief for anyone, and I feel that prolonging my life through the years of appeals will only serve to prolong the pain and grief of not only my family members and loved ones, but that of the victims' families and loved ones as well. The suffering capital must stop so the healing can begin! To reiterate, so there's no mistake of misunderstanding, ... I wish to dismiss my attorney, discontinue any and all appellate proceedings regarding my conviction or sentence. And furthermore, I demand that my execution proceed as prescribed by the Idaho state law. I ask for summary judgment of the Idaho State Supreme Court on my initial automatic appeal. The cost both in monetary and emotional well-being for all it concerns, taxpayers, family, friends, and victims alike, for keeping me confined in a 7 by 14-foot concrete and steel box year after year is a wasted and irresponsible one, especially when all that money and energy can be better spent on things that really mean something, i.e., hunger, poverty, drug addiction treatment, etc., etc. This petition is capital, not a request. It is a sincere capital demand that my sentence of death be carried out as soon as feasibly possible! Exclamation, exclamation. Thank you for your time and consideration! Exclamation. Keith E. Wells.
I'm glad that you read that because that was a big shock to me. Can I give you my thoughts on it?
I want to know. I was like, do I include this? Because it's a lot of his words. But also I'm like, this is a different turn. So I would love to.
This is shocking. So my observations, it was extremely formal. He was trying to cover all his bases. It was very specific. It almost seems like maybe he asked his lawyers for help with this because he's like, I'm asking for a summary, yada, 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 to be clear. So I'm perfectly clear. He had some legal speak in there, which maybe he was in the law books in the library, or maybe he asked his lawyers, this is what I want. I want you to help me by showing me how to ask for that. And then the most shocking part was the moral clarity that it would require to be even concerned with the taxpayer dollars going towards drug addiction, homelessness, when this is someone who has admittedly harmed people and not cared or had any empathy for others at all. So this glimpse of, you know what, I want it to be over. And I want the money to be spent helping people when it's like, it doesn't seem like you gave much thought to anyone else most of your life. This is weird for me.
And it could be a realization that it's over for him. Mm-hmm. He knows he's never going to get out of prison. And that I also, though, really do think he has that backing of his LDS religion that is full of, morals. That is just.
And his family.
And so I wonder if, because maybe he was sober and with no anticipation of getting out.
Yeah, and no anticipation of how do I scheme to get high again.
Possibly that's what he was thinking. Or he wanted to go out being
with a bang. He's like, give me the dynamite.
Yeah, let's go.
We could do that.
So that's the other thought I thought of, because there's some legal stuff in there, but also I do believe this was a handwritten note. It was printed in the newspaper as print, but the ... exclamations.
Yeah.
I do believe that he wrote it himself. He might have had a little. The attorneys might say, you have to put at least this in here. But he either was sincere or he said, fuck you all, let's go. I don't give a fuck.
One of the two. I'm just so surprised.
You didn't see that one coming, did you?
I did not. We've seen some letters to the judge. We saw Creech who sent a letter and then wanted to, what is it? He wanted to be like, can you just ignore that before you read it, please?
Never mind.
If you see a letter from me, no, you didn't.
Just toss that one. Bye.
Unsend, recall, please.
So this will be the first execution in Idaho since 1957.
So it was a long period without any. Okay.
But Wells has one more battle with the Idaho Supreme Court on the automatic review, which is required by law. That isn't a choice. It is still required.
Yeah, and Idaho's finding out that they have to actually follow the law themselves as well. They're like, I thought we just enforced the law. We got to follow this.
Damn it.
Now all these consequences are coming. Okay.
But in December, the court cleared the way for Wells' execution by upholding his death sentence. They saw the letter. basically is
They
what
said they're
happened.
not fighting. There isn't, anything glaring in the court case that would result in a stay or whatever it is.
Wells' mother, Laurel Wells, said that he is not only doing this for himself, but for his parents as well. She said he cannot spend his life in prison. Quote, he believes the healing process can never really begin until he gets what they gave him.
Wow.
His parents support his decision and remember the good times before he started getting in trouble at the age of 14 or 15. And it's just blowing my mind.
It's so unexpected. You do not hear stuff like this this is rare. I don't know if I've heard one like this.
Wells asked for people who are against the death penalty to leave him alone.
Because there's groups that advocate, and I think they're not bad because there's some people that are wrongfully convicted or maybe shouldn't have been sentenced to death that are just trying to help people make the legal system work better for them. But he's like, no, please don't contact me.
In an interview with the Idaho Statesman, he still maintains his innocence. Quote, they said I had to die, and I said, fine, do it. That's the bottom line.
Huh.
Wells said he is bitter that some church leaders want to halt the execution. Quote, I want to get a message across to the religious people. Number one, that if they say they stand with God, where do they get off saying they're the judge or jury on whether or not I should die? It's not their decision. It's God's.
Got him there.
Because they had several religious leaders call for the death penalty to not be carried out and
Right.
and such. So, but also there's a group of 67 defense attorneys that file with the Idaho Supreme Court to try to stop the execution.
They just want to jump on this. They're like,
Well,
let me have a go at it.
I think I think I can understand a little bit. So let me read you a little bit more here. In a later December interview with the Idaho Statesman, Wells finally admitted to murdering Brandy and John.
Okay, which I'm like, come on.
Right.
Especially if you're feeling that you should be executed. You know you did something very bad. Like, stop trying to say you're innocent. So I'm glad that he did admit it to the Statesman.
He said that he killed the pair with a baseball bat and later burned it in his fireplace. Because the police this whole time have been unsure. They thought it could possibly be a bat, but they also thought it could be the leg of a chair from the bar.
Some type of blunt object.
Yeah, they had no idea. He also stated, quote, it was more like a predator on the prowl for prey. When I left home that night, I knew that someone was going to die. I died that night too. I just don't know. I mean, I want to believe that he's telling the truth, but I also think that the reason that he's coming out, that he finally is confessing, whether it be the all truth or not, is because he does want his execution carried out, and he's really worried about these religious leaders and these attorneys filing appeals for him.
He had fighting on my behalf.
So he had to admit it.
I think that you're onto something there, but it is, when you hear about someone with similar crimes and, through their childhood and stuff, a lot of times, they seem a little sociopathic or something. And some of these statements, maybe it's just manipulative and he's really good at manipulating, but saying, I died that night too. I was not expecting that, to be like, yeah, my life was spiraling, and then I realized, maybe I'm not built for this life.
He just didn't have to take Brandy and John with him.
Yeah.
You fucking dick.
It's just surprising. So it makes you, are you manipulating, or is this sincere?
Are you manipulating the public? Are you really this sincere?
Yeah.
Or are you just, I do think that he is sincere when he says that he wants to die.
Yes. Well, I mean, he had a real attempt
Yeah.
that was.
That he was ended up in the ICU for. So
So here's my question. Why didn't you just find Creech? Truly, Creech would be like, you want to help me fix the electrical socket over
need
here?
a toothbrush and a razor
Guards,
blade.
guards, get me my toothbrush razor. Remember when I backed you up and said you were playing Christmas music? I'm going to do everyone a favor.
Do you remember that? Oh, I wonder the time. Like, no, that was later.
Okay.
Damn, that was good. You were on a roll. I'm like, wait, timeline.
Creech was in there for so long. I'm like, he's basically been in there for.
He knows everybody. He knows everything about everybody, and he definitely knows where the plugins are.
He knows, and he knows how to slicey dice. So give him a sock full of batteries. Get her done. That was very callous sounding, but I'm just saying, with the things that Creech was allowed to get away with, if you wanted to die that bad and you were in there the same time as Creech, if that did happen, be like, yo, Creech.
Well, they were definitely in there together. They knew
hook me up.
us. Wells was a regular at the bar, and he said he knew Brandy.
So I feel like this was now a little bit more personal as well.
Well, he probably knew Brandy just as his bartender. I don't know the extent of their relationship, but you go into a regular place all the time.
They're going to trust you and have their guard down.
He said that he did not know John, though. He brought the bat into the bar and set it in the back after arriving. Wells said neither John or Brandy provoked him. Quote, all I know is that at one certain point in time, I knew it was time for them to die. John just got up and went back to the bathroom area, and I followed him back there. And when he came out of the bathroom, I knocked him out. There was a little bit of a scuffle between him and I that got Brandy's attention, and she came back to the bathroom area. And when I turned around, she was just standing there. We're still quoting.
But I can see it going down like this.
She didn't say a word. She didn't scream. She just stood there. She didn't try to flee. Nothing.
Frozen.
Then I attacked her.
That is so terrifying because she's trying to gauge. And I mean, bartenders are pretty, if you've worked in a bar, you've seen many fights, you're pretty good on your feet of like judging what to do. So it must have been so bad what she saw for it to completely, if that's the truth, for it to freeze her.
Yeah. How do you, she was still trying to process what she was.
Yeah, what direction do I take? You're doing all these calculations in your head of your chances of what
I can't even fucking
response you should have.
imagine. Oh my God. Wells said he killed her because she was a witness. Dick. And actually, this is what he quoted. Dead people don't talk, unquote. It's just amazing that he would say shit like this after, he's like, I just want to do better and, don't waste your money.
Everyone. Yeah. Showing some emotional maturity and then saying something just like that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one, Dani.
You didn't see this one coming?
No. Confusing.
Wells stated the robbery was after the fact, and that was not the reason for the murders.
Just for fun, you may as well.
Just while I'm here.
Got some money in the till.
He also said that if he didn't go to the bar that night, he would have stayed home and violated his parole by not attending an AA meeting.
Either I don't go to my AA meeting or I kill 2 people. You know what? Fuck it.
He knew he was going to go back to jail by not going.
So let's make it worth it. How fucking weird is that? That's
that thought process.
Yes, and just the not caring about any consequences. I bet he had something that was not diagnosed, not to excuse it.
Well, there was the typical antisocial disorder and that kind of bullshit.
But most people for self-preservation
don't want to get caught.
They have some of that for something, but to want to be caught, as he has kind of shown, like, this is just a strange one.
So he said, Wells said, quote, I've known for many, many years, sooner or later, I would end up killing someone. To have that kind of self-reflection,
Yeah.
whether he's trying to be a badass or not, is still very, I don't know. It's
Just to be able to view yourself that way and actually admit it, because most killers have a little bit more of that like narcissism stuff and want to explain it away so that they're always the good guy or the victim, or they had to, and because they can't reconcile themselves with doing that. But for him to just be like, I was going to kill someone.
it was going to happen. Many religious leaders are still protesting the execution. The Idaho Supreme Court rejects the bid of the 67 attorneys and the Idaho Attorney for Criminal Justice Group. And this is why. They believe the case was not adequately reviewed, which, if you're a defense attorney, you don't want your depressed, guilty. I understand.
You're trying to fight for them.
Right. Like saying, just kill me. They're trying to prevent that so that everything is properly reviewed.
So you exhaust all your options.
Right. So
I get it.
I mean, I get it. But still, Wells is like, shut the fuck up.
And he was so very clear about it in his letter and never did the, oh, takesy backsies like Creech did. So he was like, no, I'm going to spell this out so there's no question. I'm not going to change. I'm going to give you guys more information to hopefully encourage you to do this to me. Which, what I think is funny about this is that how mind-bending it is, how with the death penalty, if someone wants it, they're like, oh,
no, you don't.
If you want it, then that defeats the purpose. We want you to not want it so that we can kill you and you don't want it.
It's weird.
What a mindfuck that one is. Well, if you want it, then maybe we won't kill you.
Sorry about your luck.
Maybe we're going to fight for you even harder.
7x14 cell forever. Isn't it weird?
Yeah.
The petition was denied.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like, no. So we are in 1994. Wells' last meal was prime rib and lobster.
That's a good choice. Great choice.
And he had some ice cream and some other good stuff. But I mean,
He
really,
indulged.
prime rib and lobsters. Like, I didn't need to even continue with the fried potatoes and all the other goodies.
Mm-hmm.
On January 6th, Wells, 31, is the first in Idaho to be put to death by lethal injection.
And that just seems young because he started so young and did this so young compared to what the other death row ones that we've seen eventually executed, I can say.
Or never executed.
Creech, how old is it, 70s?
Late 60s.
And he's been in jail forever. So It's weird to see that young of a number for a more recent Idaho case execution.
My mouth was like...
I say more recent because I think that 1990 was 10 years ago.
I wish.
Just 10 years ago, 1990. It's not that recent.
I wouldn't have to dream about getting my Botox.
Oh, so this nature versus nurture, what do you think?
It's just... I really think there was something that flipped in him and I think sometimes these families that are so large, a kid can get lost.
They don't get all the attention
It's
and
too,
don't
you're
notice.
And it's not that I don't think that the parents are purposely doing it. They're trying to fucking work and pay bills and manage a large family.
There's only so many eyes.
And, typically, traditionally in the Mormon religion, when you have that large of a family, you have a full-time stay-at-home mom. Mm-hmm. That was not the case with him.
Really?
Because they were poor. Yeah. They traveled a lot.
All the moving as well, the chaotic, not being able to set down roots. And gosh, moving is a nightmare regardless. But imagine how much less bandwidth you have to deal with a child that's struggling.
And I also think being a younger child, that mom and dad might have been just burnt out on raising all these damn kids, and they're just like, Do you know what I mean? Like,
No, and that happens in a lot of large families. You'll hear about the elder siblings being like, I was the parent because they were not parenting anyone, really. And so I was the parent, and they were bringing in the money to keep the roof over the head, maybe making the meals, but as far as the wrangling of the children and the changing of the diapers and this and that,
like I've worked all day. Go change your brother's diaper. Would you get him a bottle? Blah blah blah. Like, I could
when it's
totally.
a fine line, because there's
Yep.
one point of teaching a kid to care for someone and changing a diaper here or there, or helping, play with the kids or whatever. There is a point in some families where it goes to, no, you are almost the full-time parent or the nanny,
Right.
essentially.
If I was working full time and had to come home and feed 8 mouths, I couldn't do it.
It's just so many dishes, for one.
Dinner would be like a fucking 3 hour ordeal.
I
Never
have-
mind laundry and vacuuming and getting kids to bed and making sure that, they brush their teeth. And homework was done.
Imagine the grocery shopping. I have an aunt who has a lot of kids, and their family is wonderful, and they did it so beautifully. It's almost weird. But they had to have the industrial size fridge. They had to have the huge ass van to cart everyone around in. Their grocery order, I don't even want to know what that looked like.
Kudos to parents that can pull that off. I'm just personally, I would be like, I would be sitting in a corner rocking and sucking my thumb.
Give me a 5150 ASAP, please.
Please. So kudos to parents that can
Props
pull
to
that
those
off.
that do it.
Yeah, there are people that can do it, but I don't know how I feel about it's weird. It was a
back
weird
and forth
phase
on
to
it,
me.
too.
I'm gonna ponder it, but interesting that somebody's like, hey, just fucking knock it off.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Generally, for me, when it comes to the nature or nurture, I do think it is both, because I think that there are folks that have issues psychologically, but there wasn't ever any trigger, or they were able to manage it for certain reasons. There's people that don't have any issues, but for some reason, through a really difficult childhood or things that happen to them, they grow the worst type of coping mechanisms. So I think that it can go either way. I mean, it seems like a pretty positive environment. I think there was some problems there. For how it escalated, though, that trigger warning, rape by 3 people.
But also, he had that drug addiction, $200. I mean, no, that could fuck you up. But he was already doing a lot of drugs at a young age.
Which that is so, if addiction doesn't run in the family and there isn't a lot of those types of influences around.
They were going to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
They absolutely were.
It would be so hard to be addicted to drugs and keep it going.
Yeah. He would have to find the people
Yeah.
with the drugs. Anyway.
Interesting one. We want to know your thoughts, because this one kind of threw me for a loop. So please let us know what you think. What are your opinions on this case and how his behavior was? We want to hear about it.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, hit all the
Follow.
buttons. Apologies to Risa for our language.
Risa, there was, again, the language was off the charts. I was really trying this time. I did censor myself a few times. I hope that you caught that. I know you said you'd never listen again, but maybe one day we'll have a clean episode and I'll send it to you. Love you. Also, one of our top listeners, Adam. We have a top listener, Adam, that can just immediately requote so many lines
We appreciate you.
that he liked, and we love that stuff.
Alrighty, guys. Hit us up if you have any suggestions. thelethalibrary@gmail.com, and we will see you next week.
Thank you for listening. 10-4, Rubber Ducky.
Fuck yeah.